How do you ruin a billion-dollar fantasy franchise? Not slowly, not subtly, not even accidentally. You do it with confidence. The kind that only comes when you think fans don't matter. Lore is optional, and a streaming giant has your back no matter what. And that's exactly how The Witcher went from the next Game of Thrones to a burned-out husk buried by its own creators. But what really happened behind the scenes? And why did Henry Cavill, the one actor who actually cared, walk away? Let's take a closer look at how a show with all the potential in the world became the cautionary tale of modern fantasy. Back in December 2019, The Witcher premiered on Netflix. Expectations were mixed. Critics were skeptical, but fans of the books and games were hopeful. After all, Henry Cavill was leading the charge, and he wasn't just a face, he was a fan. He knew the lore, lived it, and brought Geralt of Rivia to life in a way few expected. Despite clunky dialogue and uneven pacing, the show struck a chord. Season 1 became a surprise hit. Fans praised Cavill's performance, the gritty tone, and the faithful, if occasionally chaotic, adaptation. In a post-Game of Thrones world, The Witcher felt like it had real potential to carry the epic fantasy torch forward. Netflix had found its next big thing, or so it seemed. But as the hype grew, so did the cracks. And the most glaring one was standing quietly in the background, behind the camera. Long before fans noticed anything was off, Henry Cavill did. In interviews, he hinted, carefully, that The Witcher was drifting away from its source material. He talked about staying loyal to the books, even as the show shifted focus. He wasn't being dramatic. He was being diplomatic. But if you read between the lines, one thing was clear. There was a creative war happening off-screen. The showrunner, Lauren Hissrich, had her own vision for The Witcher, one that didn't always align with the world Andrzej Sapkowski built. Writers began reshaping the lore, reframing the story, and sidelining Geralt himself in favor of other characters and plotlines. Some fans brushed it off as creative liberty, but former writer Beau DeMayo later dropped a bombshell. Some of the writers on The Witcher actively disliked the books and games, even mocked the source material. Let that sink in. A team hired to adapt a beloved universe didn't even respect it. And while Cavill fought to protect the heart of the story, it became increasingly clear that his influence was being pushed aside. But that wasn't the whole story. By the time Season 2 rolled around, fans were hoping the show would tighten up and deliver on the potential of Season 1. Instead, it fell off a cliff. The story veered wildly from the source material, not just creatively adapted, but actively rewritten. Characters were reimagined, lore was twisted, and suddenly, The Witcher wasn't about Geralt anymore. The story shifted toward an ensemble cast, with a stronger focus on Yennefer and Ciri, while Cavill's Geralt took a back seat. The fans noticed, Cavill noticed, and so did the people working on the show. Former writer Beau DeMayo revealed that some writers openly mocked The Witcher lore. Think about that. You're producing a show based on a beloved fantasy universe, and your own writers are laughing at it behind the scenes. Morale dropped, viewership dropped, and so did any remaining trust between Cavill and the creative team. Lauren Hissrich, the showrunner, reportedly clashed with Cavill over his overcommitment to the lore. He wanted to stay true to the books. She wanted to modernize it, reframe the narrative for a different audience. But that wasn't compromise. That was sabotage. In October 2022, Henry Cavill dropped a quiet bomb on Instagram. He was leaving The Witcher. The announcement was short, respectful, and professional. But the internet exploded. Fans were furious. Viewers who had stuck with the show through Season 2 suddenly felt betrayed. Why? Because Cavill wasn't just another actor. He was the soul of the show. He fought for the lore. He understood the fans. And without him, The Witcher lost the one person who was holding it together. Netflix responded by announcing Liam Hemsworth as the new Geralt, as if that would calm things down. It didn't. When Henry Cavill left The Witcher, fans were disappointed, but not entirely surprised. They had seen the tension building, the creative clashes, the shift away from everything that made the first season great. But what did shock them was Netflix's response. Enter Liam Hemsworth. Now, this isn't about trashing Liam. He's a solid actor, charismatic, capable. But let's be real. This wasn't a passing of the torch. This felt like a panic move, a desperate attempt to hold a franchise together with duct tape and PR spin. And fans? They weren't buying it. The backlash was swift and brutal. Memes flooded Reddit and Twitter. YouTube comment sections lit up with comparisons. From Geralt of Rivia to discount Witcher, Liam's not the problem. It's everything else. Because this wasn't just about casting, it was about betrayal. Henry Cavill was the Witcher. He wasn't just acting, he was advocating. He fought for the books, for the fans, for the world Andrzej Sapkowski created. And when that fight became unwinnable, he walked. Replacing him with Liam Hemsworth felt tone-deaf, like putting a Band-Aid on a franchise bleeding out from internal wounds. And then came Netflix's next mistake, the clip. A short preview of Hemsworth as Geralt, dropped quietly at night, on a Saturday with zero fanfare. No lead-up, no teaser campaign, no mention during their major content showcase. Just dropped, like they were hoping people wouldn't notice. But people did notice. And the reactions were exactly what you'd expect. It looks like a cosplay fan film. This isn't The Witcher anymore. Why is the main character treated like a side quest? The irony? Liam Hemsworth didn't even get a real shot. The script had already sidelined Geralt, turning him into a guest in his own story. The show's focus had shifted so far from its roots that it no longer mattered who wore the wig. Some fans even sympathized with Liam, suggesting he should fire his agent. The same advice many were already giving Cavill after Enola Holmes, Argylle, and this. And while Cavill was often criticized for playing it safe in Hollywood, his dedication to The Witcher was never questioned. Liam, on the other hand, walked into a storm he didn't start, but would absolutely take the fall for. Netflix thought fans would move on. Instead, they moved out. Viewership dipped again. Engagement collapsed. And the replacement they hoped would reignite interest became a symbol of how out of touch the studio had become. Because The Witcher wasn't just losing Geralt, it was losing its soul. While Netflix tried to spin the narrative, the numbers told a different story. Season 3 launched, and viewership dropped again. According to Netflix's own data, Season 3's premiere was down 15% from Season 2. By episode 5, over 60% of viewers had already bailed. But that's just the beginning. Rotten Tomatoes? Blood Origin, 13% audience score. Witcher Season 3, 19% audience score. And yet, somehow, the budget exploded. According to official UK tax filings, Netflix had sunk $568 million into The Witcher. After tax credits, that's still over $450 million. Add in the $78 million spent on Blood Origin, and you're looking at a fantasy franchise that burned nearly $750 million. And for what? A product no one asked for, a story no one believes in anymore, and a fan base that feels betrayed. It wasn't just about Henry Cavill leaving. It was the arrogance, the idea that the source material didn't matter, that fans could be ignored, that The Witcher could be twisted into something unrecognizable and still succeed. Some say the show was sabotaged by internal politics, a desire to reshape the franchise for a modern audience. Others point to showrunner Lauren Hissrich's vision, which many believe prioritized ideology over integrity. Whatever the reason, the results speak for themselves. Rumors suggest the writing team had contempt not only for the books, but for the fans. And Cavill? He was just trying to hold the line, trying to be the one person who remembered what The Witcher was supposed to be. And for that, he was pushed out. What's left now? A show that no longer resembles its origins, a lead actor replaced, a narrative gutted, a community divided. What was once seen as the next Game of Thrones has become a punchline, a warning, a case study in how not to handle epic fantasy in the streaming age. And fans are noticing a pattern. They've seen it in Star Wars. They've seen it in Rings of Power. They've seen it in Willow. Once beloved franchises, rewritten by people who didn't love them, disrespected, repackaged, then tossed aside when the backlash hit. In the end, Netflix did achieve something incredible. They brought together fans of the Witcher books, fans of the Witcher games, and fans of Henry Cavill. And they all agree on one thing. This isn't The Witcher. It's a hollow shell, an expensive failure, a warning to any studio that thinks it can cash in without respect. And maybe, just maybe, the fantasy genre deserves better than this.